Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Sorry, I can't even say my own name.
Who are
To
you?
HoGaDaSh Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. The two are interchangeable. And of course, we are back with another HoGaDaSh. We can call it when we've got David in. Yes, it becomes HoGaDaSh. So nice to see you again. So, of course, over here to my side, I have Lady G with the most extraordinary and fabulous hat. That is really cheering me up, actually, looking at it. So fantastic. Down to my diagonal, because I have to do it the opposite way. Anyway, never mind. David should be here. I want to go here, but apparently...
Yeah, I know, it's reversed.
And then down under we have, well, actually not really down under, we have Sheila, of course, of Celtic Tarot. So we've got another show in for you guys. Very important questions tonight, folks. So again, we're going to do the usual combination of one card pulls for speed and agility in the show, and then I'm mixing in some of the more in-depth full card pulls for questions that I feel need to have a little bit more going into. So let's just dive in. Everyone's piling in the chat. As you know, we go at great pace here. So are we ready, folks, for the first question? Yeah. All right, let's go. Well, the first one actually isn't really a question, actually. It's we've got a lot of stuff about, obviously, Iran, Middle East, Trump, etc. But I wanted us to open with Mexico. And you guys may or may not have seen the news. I've just seen it. But there, at the moment, there is a Category 2 / almost going to become Category 3 storm headed towards Mexico and the Guatemalan coastline. It's being called Hurricane Erick. They say the winds will be around about 120 miles an hour. I don't know what that is in kilometers, but it's very fast. But they said the main thing that they're worried about is that they're expecting 400 millimeters of rain, which translates as 16 inches of rain. So I just thought, let's do a one card pull on that and just see how that is gonna play out for Mexico and Guatemala. Hopefully not too bad, but that is a lot of water. Anything to add to that, folks, as we select our cards?
Do they know what it is right now? Is it a tropical?
It's a Category 2 right now. Yeah,
so
yeah.
At least 90 miles an hour wind at this point. Okay.
Yeah, and they say it's going to strengthen up as it gets closer to the coastline because of all the heat in the water. So I just thought, you know, because it's important as well, of course, to see what's going on in the world. All right, let's have a look. One card pull. Mexico. How is Mexico and Guatemala going to fare with Storm Erick? Hopefully not too bad. All right, we ready? All right, after 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh.
Wow.
All right, so we're going to go anti-clockwise this time. So Sheila, start with your interpretation.
Well, I have temperance, so apparently it's not going to be as strong as they're talking about. Temperance has a lot to do with smashing, you know, like if we're talking about a hurricane, something that hits it, takes it down, tempers the wind, tempers the storm. So that's what I got.
Fingers crossed. David, how do you interpret your card?
With the Lover's card, I would guess that it may not be as bad as they're expecting. Also, if there is damage, there's going to be help domestically as well as internationally for it. So I think basically any damage will be addressed. I don't see this being catastrophic by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, 200 kilometers an hour, if you want to know.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I thought that's where it was, but I wasn't sure. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
I got the same thing as David, the Lovers, but in this case, I'm feeling like it might be the hand in hand of the wind and the rain together, moving through. So, yeah, difficult.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And here I've got the Strength card, but it does make me worry a little bit. So On the positive, I'm thinking this could be like the strength of the Mexican people and the Guatemalans, but I'm a little bit worried that literally the storm may strengthen as it gets closer, or this could be literally talking about the strength of the storm. So I'm gonna, because we've had some positive cards come out, I'm gonna go with the group on this one and hope that this is more to do with the strength and the resilience of the authorities in Mexico. But I do worry that the storm may literally strengthen significantly. So we'll have to see. But hopefully, I think, look, they've got a brilliant leader, haven't they? They've got Claudia Sheinbaum, who is the Mexican president, isn't she? Or prime minister, president, I think.
President.
And she is excellent. Yeah, she's excellent. So
Well,
I'm sure they'll figure it out. Sorry.
Also with temperance is balance. That's also, so everybody's reading kind of went to the same, like balance and wind and balance and water. It's going to balance its way out. So that was interesting how we all did that.
Yeah. I wish the best for Mexico. It's due to make landfall tomorrow, so I'm sure there'll be some news on that. Okay, are we ready for the next question? Yeah. All right, so the next one, this is actually going to be about Kristi Noem, and we're going to do Shakespeare on this one. So David, because you are the special guest, when we do the Shakespeare, I'm going to go to a certain book, yeah, which has got quotes from Shakespeare, and I'm going to flick through that book, and you're going to tell me where to stop, and that's going to be the Bard's thoughts on Kristi Noem. But this is the question here. So this is coming from R. Goldberg. Did Noem truly have a health emergency, or was she removed from office? Yeah, one card pull. Kristi Noem. Issue of health crisis. Was she removed from office? All right. We're ready. Okay, after 3, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, interesting cards. All right, we're going to go the other way this time. So, Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, justice. So whatever happened, it was due to happen. So, yeah. Good luck with that, Kristi Noem.
Ooh, so you think she may have been removed? Is this what you're thinking?
Well, I'm not necessarily. I just think that this was something like a karmic thing that took place. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, David, how do you interpret your card?
I got the 9 of Coins. I think it's about a woman and health. I know that she visited like a biohazardous waste facilities the day before. I just saw that about an hour or two ago on TikTok, and it was I forget what a reputable news agency like the Daily Beast or something like that discovered that. So it could very well be that somebody took their PPEs for granted if they were touring that facility, and now they're suffering the health consequences of that.
Oh, interesting. And Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
Well, mine's regret, and it kind of goes along with, if I didn't know that she went to the biohazard, but what my first impression was when I saw your money card was the money that she spends on all of her reconstructing her face, her fake boobs, maybe one of her fake boobs busted. You know what I mean? That was my first impression when I heard that she went to an emergency. I said, oh, I bet her fake boob just busted. She had to go to the emergency room for that. But, the biohazard, it could have caused the same problems. But that was, when I saw your money, I'm like, oh, it's because of her, her plastic surgery is getting to her.
Oh, do you know what? I would have to say, you know what, Sheila, that did go through my mind as well when I saw David cards, because my shadow interpretation of the 9 of Pentacles is vanity. Yeah, and we know she, wow. And in a contribution here, someone is just saying here, before I read my card, Mark is saying Kristi Noem ate a bad taco. So according to reports, she has had an allergic reaction, but they've not gone into detail. But if we look here with my card, she gets the poverty card. Now, isn't that interesting? David got the card that is very connected with wealth, and I've got the card that's very connected with poverty. And then between the two ladies, so what I suspect is that this war in some way is going to have some kind of impact. I think there is a karmic element as well. And sometimes these things are symbolic of how the energy changes, and the nodes of the moon have changed recently as well. So I just think maybe this is just her on the way out. Yeah, this is the card of being out in the cold. Maybe this is a convenient cover story, or you know what Trump's like. If he's not a fan of someone and they get sick, then you get the flick. Do you see what I mean? So it could be that. Anything to add to that, folks, before we move on?
I think that works out well with Sheila's regret card. She might be having regrets taking that, because there are stories that she and Stephen Miller are racing to the bottom to see who could be the most horrible person ever, and I think he's got her outclassed.
Wow. Right. Okay.
Stephen Miller's pretty upset because Elon took his wife, but you know, whatevs.
I know you can't make this stuff up, you know, but you know what I must say here, being here with you guys, it does help cheer me up a bit. So I hope everyone watching at home, even though we know the world is bleak, I hope we're able to give you some smiles as well as this clown show continues. But here is the bard. So David, you on you. So I just gave you a little explanation. We're going to see what the bard's opinion is on Kristi Noem. So I'm going to flick through this book, and when you feel the impulse, you just tell me to stop. And whatever page I stop at is the bard's opinions on this creature, called Kristi Noem. You ready? All right, here we go.
Stop.
Oh, all right. Let's stop there. Ooh. All right, this is what the bard has to say about Kristi Noem, and this is from Henry IV, Part 1. Yeah, it says here, there is no more faith in thee than in a stewed prune. Yeah. And then on the next page from Othello, it says, heaven truly knows that thou art false as hell. Interesting.
It couldn't be any more perfect for her.
Standing outside those jail cells with a Rolex watch on. But also as well, truly knows that thou art as false as hell. We know she's fake, but maybe this could also be saying that this is a cover story. You know, this allergic reaction. We're not really. I mean, it could be that she had a reaction at the thingibob plant, or it could just be a way to get her out. But there you are, stewed prune. That's what the bard thinks of Kristi Noem. Anything to add to that, ladies and gents, before we move on? Yeah. No, we're all good. Excellent. All right. So let's go to question number 3. And let's see, where are we here? Where's number 3? This is going to be a full card pull, because I think I would like your full talents on display, folks, with this one. And it's about the VA, and I know that is going to be close to both Lady G's heart and Sheila's heart. And David, I don't know if you have connections with veterans as well, but this is an interesting read. So this is coming from Denise Ferguson. And she says, according to The Guardian and the Economic Times, a Trump executive order now allows the VA, the Veterans Association, to fire physicians or refuse treatment to veterans based on their union activity. Yeah. So this is quite a turn. Marital status or political affiliation. There's to be a no transgender care, they say. And will the VA actually follow through on Trump's new guidelines? Yeah, full card pull. Do you want me to repeat the question again, or did we get that first time?
I think we need to clarify on this. It is not that the people who do not refuse will get refired. The only thing that he put out there was that the doctors are allowed to now refuse to treat anybody who is a Democrat. They're not going to get fired if they do. So I just wanted to clarify that. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila, because I had noted that too with the broadcast yesterday.
Yeah,
because it sensationalizes it when you make it say, "Oh, they can."
Makes it sound worse. Yeah, but it's no. And the VA, and I have a feeling that the VA doctors are like flipping off Trump, going, "Whatever, dude. We're gonna treat our veterans no matter who and what they are." That's my own thinking about that. So, what is the question with that? Making sure we get that.
So I'll read it again, but thanks for that clarifier, because of course, as you know, I get the questions in, and we get our questions from the public, and of course, how it's written can sometimes influence the meaning. So Denise Verkes says, according to the Guardian and the Economic Times, a Trump executive order now allows the VA to fire physicians who refuse treatment. So, but you've clarified that it's not about firing the physicians, but the physicians have been empowered to potentially refuse treatment to veterans based on their union activity, marital status, or political affiliation. And they've put there's to be no transgender care. Will the VA actually follow through on Trump's new guidelines? So will the VA uphold these changes? Full card pull. And thanks for that clarification.
That's why.
Oh yeah. No, I knew you'd not know. Definitely. It's always good to have clarification from the readers or the comments as well, live comments. Yay. What a situation, huh? Can you believe this stuff that we're reading on? Oh my God. The world. It's madness. Yay. All right. Who's ready to go first?
I can if you're
go for it, Sheila. Just drink some water.
Okay, my first up was Six of Wands, that public recognition, that victory, and this is kind of, I think, of a backstory. How the Americans and all of that, we have been fighting for so long to make sure that the veterans have the care that they deserve. If they can fight in a war, they can or serve in the military, they should have medical treatment after they get out of the military. And this, it came across with a secret. Like, the secret thing is they would rather not pay all that money because that dips into the billionaires' pockets, right? So they've been fighting about it, and so that kind of brings us about how the internal fighting is happening. Like, they have they're in the administration internal fighting about it is kind of what I got. And then I got, oddly enough, my cards very rarely ever show up upside down, but I have two that showed upside down, which was the Three of Wands. Lack of foresight. The lack of foresight, not seeing what's happening. They're not on the ground. They don't understand what's going on. And I think this is the VA doctors, because they think that the Trump administration has a big ego, and they're just, like, shut up. And I also got the Star upside down, which they're very disappointed in what they're saying. They think that they're arrogant. They have lost the platform. They have lost the goal. And they're afraid of being surveillanced and being monitored. And so that's kind of where they're at this point in time. Like, they really are worried about who they're taking care of now. And I don't know how they're going to handle it, but I don't think the doctors are on board with this at all. They are not like Trumpers and they want to make the you know, their Orange King happy. They're not on board. They want to treat the veterans. That's what they want to do. So I don't know. It seems like there's a mix up going on. And maybe somebody else's cards had a little bit more clarification on what's going to happen.
All right. Okay, thank you. David, how do you interpret your cards?
I interpret my cards as follows. So my foundation of the reading is the Seven of Swords. This is a minefield, and you better walk very carefully when you're dealing with this. There are, in the United States, there's protected classes for anti-discrimination. You can't discriminate against somebody for like their race, their religion, their ethnicity, their sexuality, their gender, that sort of thing, and opening the door, saying, "Well, we're not going to protect political affiliation. We're not going to protect marital status." I think the doctors that look at this, there might be some that want to do that, but they have to figure out a different way. Ultimately, underneath it, what I get is the Star card. I think the doctors are going to push back against this. They've taken a Hippocratic oath. The nurses as well. You might get some administrators, admins or something like that are cray-cray, and they decide that they're going to do that. But ultimately, I think they understand this is fraught with danger. Do not go there with it. And not only that, this administration, they don't know how long they're there for, and once they're gone, what happens to the physicians or the nursing staff that have not treated somebody for their political affiliation or for their union activity or their marital status? Because there's going to be, it's almost like there will be an ostracization going on if you try something like that. It's not worth the risk.
Fascinating. Lady G, how do you interpret your cards? What do you have?
Well, the reading's about where this is going forward to and what's hidden. But what is hidden is they're going to stand, they feel like they're pushed to the edge, but they're going to stand there to protect. So the energy coming into it when it comes to the community, the doctors are there to do their job and they're holding on to concrete information. So what they have going now, they see that this craftiness of the craziness that Trump is doing, they want to end that. They just absolutely don't want to deal with it. The challenge is, this is his financial drama and things and an abuse of power. They see it as absolutely abusive. Potential outcome, we have what's eating away at some of the past. The outside influence rapidly when it comes to these contracts and alignments is, I asked for what the clarification, what's hidden is sometimes they feel out in the cold when it comes to all of this, like we're kind of damned if we do and damned if we don't, feeling between a rock and a hard place with it.
Oh, gosh. I mean, isn't it remarkable? Like when I just reflect, when I started this channel, 5 years ago, and I'm sure you guys feel the same, but did any of us think really that we would be reading on these types of subject matters? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like this is like happening for real. And I mean, it's a privilege to read on these things, but wow, I mean, the stuff that is going on, it's extraordinary, isn't it? I just want to say a few quick thank yous before I read my cards. So Tobiah, thank you so much for your kind donation. Aizon, thank you so much. Pam, thank you so much. Oh, she was saying, thank you, everyone. And oh, Lady G, I love your chapeau. Isn't it fabulous? And then Veronica, thank you, asking about Florida and immigration. And then someone said, someone says here, San says, hi, all of you, a great live when you're all together. And someone had something funny about Kristi Noem. Valerie says, love the look, Lady G. And then And then Glorious is saying, you guys are too darn funny. And then someone wrote here, Grace wrote, yeah, she was doing a Roman salute and broke her implant. So, you know, you got to bring the audience in.
Man.
Oh, it remains to be seen, but you have to laugh, isn't it? Or you cry, isn't it? It's just so crazy. All right, my cards on the veterans. That is just too funny, isn't it? Oh, here we go. So if we look here, look, with the veterans in many ways are like a family, aren't they? Look, we've got, this is the card here, but really once a veteran, always a veteran. It's they are bonded by so many difficulties, but also so many triumphs and stuff like that. But this is really kind of like a family, and these doctors in a way will also see these veterans like extended members of their family. Imagine if you've been seeing the same doctor for years and years and years, which many veterans would have. So this is telling me about the energy of the situation, how they're collectively feeling. Look, heartbreak with the veterans and the doctors. I think on a certain level, the doctors are probably struggling to believe that they've been put in this situation. It's not part of their Hippocratic oaths. You know, they're not supposed to treat people depending on gender or certainly not political. I mean, what on earth does that have to do with someone who lost their leg in the Vietnam War, or they've got a brain tumor because they were poisoned with some gas or something? It's just completely irrelevant. If we look here, we do have the victory card coming through. But who for? Is this a victory for Trump because he gets his way? Or is this more about the honor and the valor and the veterans themselves? I like to think this is about the honor and the valor of the veterans, and that the doctors will ultimately do the right thing. If we look here, we've got the Seven of Pentacles, which you guys know I refer to as my card of ROI, return on investment. And it is quickly followed here by the Knight of Cups, which we know can be a romance card. This can also be a card of the false knight. But to me, also as well, it's about making an offer. So it looks like here, if they were to go ahead with this discriminatory action, my instinct is they will probably have to pay compensation, yeah? Or they'd have to make an offer, something like that, because it's beyond the pale. They shouldn't even be asking this question. So I hope that the doctors will be valiant. They will think of their oaths that they committed to, but also as well, if anyone's discriminated against, I think that is ripe for lawsuits, and they will probably have to pay money out. That's my take on it. Anything to add to that, ladies and gents, before we...
have something. I do have something to add to this, just to wrap it all up. Currently, there is no current policy, because it has to go through the Senate and has to go through the House and has to go through the Senate, and then it has to go through Trump for him to sign this, for all of this to change. So nothing, he can write all he wants. He can write on his chalkboard with his crayons all he wants. But right now, legally, the VA doctors there's no policy that they can do that. The bylaws and wordings got simplified, but federal protections still remain. So I just want to let everybody know, even though he wrote something on his pieces of paper with his crayons again, it doesn't mean that it's enacted and it's a law.
Okay.
I have something to add to it as well.
Sure, please.
Yeah, the doctors in the VA are there. They could make more money in the private sector, but they are there to aid veterans. So they have a stake in that. You know, they could be making more money in private, but they chose to be in the VA to aid, you know, to give that back to people.
That's good to know. And that's probably why I got that family card as well. That's the sense that I got. It is like a family, you know, it's not an ordinary situation with veterans who have laid down their life in many instances to defend their country, and they should always be supported. It should never, ever be a question. It should never, ever be a question. You know, if you can find the money for war, you know, isn't it funny? There's always money for war. Have you guys noticed that? Around the world, there's always money for war. But when the soldiers come back injured, nah, You get nothing. You're just left on a scrap heap. They're psychopaths, these people. Oh, anyway.
20 years to get my benefits.
Did you say 20 years?
20 years to get my benefit. Yeah.
Gosh. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And you served in Nam. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? But anyway, let's hope that the doctors are seeming strong here. They're committed, and let's hope. And of course, as Sheila said, nothing has changed in law yet, so we can assume that previous standards are still in place. All right, let's move on to question number 4. This is a one-card pull again, one-card pull. And I just want to say thank you as well to everyone joining us. We've got 2,386 of you with us live right now, so much appreciated. Please be sure to like and subscribe and share. All right, so this is coming from Nick Minks, and it's about the G7. So she's put here, what is this? Is a one-card pull. What is the energy from the G7 meeting? Are the cards showing a positive movement forward? And I've put notes here at the bottom because I researched the story a bit. And apparently Trump has left early, to try and avoid meeting Zelensky, it seems. And the US vetoed a joint statement on the summit saying it was too anti-Russian. So I just thought I'd give that bit of context. Oh, let's see. One card pull. Never thought I'd be reading on questions like this. Well.
Yeah. Somebody is asking me what branch. I was in the Air Force.
Ah, you were in the Air Force. Oh.
Air Force.
All right. Are we ready with our one card? What lies in store for the G7? All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at what I've got. Oh, David, was that a genuine reversal, or was your whole deck upset?
I don't know if it was the way I pulled it out or not. Let me check through my deck, and I'll let you know. Oh, my deck's got it's a reversal.
Yeah, there you go.
My deck has some reversals in it.
Yeah, I think it stands. So Sheila, you go first. Your card says a lot already.
Yeah, it does say a lot. And then the next one up was this one. So
the
ending of it. So there was a lot of rumors going on. Number one, I don't know. Do I have an echo? I keep on hearing an echo.
No.
Okay. Just my imagination, as usual. Desert. I mean, nothing happened. He didn't gain anything. If anything, we dried up any and all relationships that we could have had with any of them. It sounds like the Prime Minister of Canada was going to set him down in a circle in a quorum and have a whole bunch of leaders address and talk to Trump and confront him with a whole bunch of stuff. That's one of the reasons he got word of that. He said he was going to stay for dinner, but he even skipped dinner and went home.
He skipped dinner?
Yeah, he skipped dinner and
Trump
went home.
Skipping food? Wow,
Yeah.
He must have been panicked. Wow.
So there was a lot going on. He just kind of walked around like a freaking idiot, bragging about some deal he did with the UK, and then spoke wrong. I mean, it was incredible. So a desert means nothing. He didn't gain anything. Everything, his relationships with everybody just dried up completely.
All right. Wow. David, how do you interpret your card, which is a reversal?
It's got a reversal, and I don't get many of those. Guess who wasn't the belle of the ball? Hopes, wishes, dreams fulfilled, and the reverse of that is kind of the smug, arrogant, know-it-all, and I think a combination of, feeling like a fish out of water, and you can imagine, he could probably feel the hostilities around him. There was definitely probably an awkward feeling that he was picking up on. And if he wasn't, his handlers were picking up on it. And I think Trump would have stayed for dinner and wouldn't have noticed it, because that's narcissists just don't understand how they can't be the best, brightest in the room. But I think his handlers saw what was happening and they got him out of there before he really did something that would embarrass himself. or the country.
Oh, wow. Lady G, how are you interpreting your card?
Well, I have the sun, you know, shedding light. Underneath of it all was a new action. Now, I think they were just solidifying, you know, who they can work with. And, you know, Trump, I've done another reading on it, that they were just ignoring him as much as they could. And he didn't get the play he wanted, so he left.
Wow. Wow. Fascinating. Fascinating. And I'm just scrolling down. Let me just give you guys a little bit more feedback. Again, a bit more on Kristi Noem. Says Winnie Boo says someone else paid more money for her position. And then George Ann says, you guys cheer me up too. I'm glad we're able to bring you a little bit of cheer in these dire circumstances. So look here, G7, I think, look, it just says it all. The devil card that has come up, and in a way it's almost like Trump is like the devil's poop, yeah, that showed up to the party on this occasion. But I think this is also talking about here, if I'm actually kind of reading deeper into the politics of this, the G7 of course is based on like the 7 believed to be strongest economies in the world, and as we know, the economic global structure is changing. Now, let's not forget, with the devil card here, you see here, these two people are chained up, but the chains are loose, yeah? The chains are loose. And they could take the chains off at any point. And I'm getting a deeper reading on this in the sense of, could it be that the G7 is now feeling chained to this Trumpenstein version of America that they want to kind of release themselves from, but they feel economically tied? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like when Trump comes in, it's like the devil has entered the room, everybody knows, and it's like, but trying to think of the G7 without America, do you know what I mean, is almost unthinkable. But it's like they feel kind of chained to this devil. Do you know what I mean? It's like they have to humor Trump because of his position. But I think if they had the choice, they would get rid. So I think there's also this sense of maybe feeling bogged down, chained down, beholden to this guy. And I find it so interesting that he left early. And then, like you were saying, Sheila, Mark Carney was going to basically make Trump accountable on that global level. And we know he really struggles with narcissistic injury. He got a narcissistic injury with that flop, of course, even being absolutely having the you-know-what ripped out of him by North Korea. One of my clients was telling me that they were describing Melania as an overpaid prostitute. Can you believe it? And Hegseth as a raging drunk. And the North Koreans just ripped. You know, they may not have food over there, it's terrible conditions, but if there's one thing they know how to do is goose step. Yeah. And, you know, anyway, so I went on a bit, but I think the G7 is feeling chained to Trump. They want to escape. He's toxic. He's toxic. Anything to add to that before we move on? No? All good? Brilliant. All right. So that was question number 4. Fascinating what came out there. This is another one card pull, but quite weighty, but and it's come in 2 parts. So Denise Ferguson, this is asking about a false flag event. So I'm going to read 2 people that asked the similar question. So she says, a majority of Americans, including MAGA, do not want to be involved in another war. Will a false flag operation be carried out against American interests in the Middle East to sway American sentiment? That's the first part. Next person asked something similar, and this is R. Goldberg, and they say Libby from Magister Tarot said did a reading that the USS Nimitz could be going to the Gulf as a sacrifice. What do you see? And then Denise extemporated on that, replying to her and said, it's called a false flag operation and is what I was referring to in my question. I have a bad feeling about this. US Warhawks wants a regime change and this is their chance. So let's do a 1 card pull on that and just see what the cards say. Will a false flag event potentially happen to try and pull America further into Middle East conflict?
Are you talking false flag? I want to clarify that. What do you mean? Like, are they going to lie to get in there? Is that what you're trying to say?
Or a false flag event is like when you manufacture an attack and you say, look what the other side have done. Oh, now we need to go in. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Putin did one with the Chechens way back, staged an attack within Russia to justify the Chechen war. All right.
Okay.
One card pull. Let's see. False flag, false flag. All right. After 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. All right. So Sheila, if we start with you again and we'll go around. Look at Lady G's card.
So we'll start with Lady G.
Yeah?
I like her card better. Start with Lady G.
Fair enough. Well, here we got Lady G. How do you interpret your card?
They're up to no good, a touch of evil, so they're up to something.
Yeah. David, how do you interpret your card?
Strength card, mastery, trying to feed. She's putting the bitter pill into the lion's mouth. I have a really hard time picturing, at least in the case of Libby's reading, using the USS Nimitz as a sacrificial lamb. The U.S. does not like people to touch their boats. As Japan found out, you touch the boats, you pay a really horrific price for it. Or even the folks in Yemen that are launching rockets at them. They got a lot of cruise missiles in return for their troubles. False flag. I think the U.S. is trying to project strength. I think that's why the Nimitz is there. I don't see a false flag per se, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me trying to cause an incident with American, maybe not the boats, but maybe American soldiers in the Middle East being attacked, trying to get a Pearl Harbor moment in the citizenry in the United States.
Fascinating. Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
I interpret that Netanyahu and our Yahoo is in cahoots of what's going on. And they do want to start the war. They do want to get in there. There is so much more money to be made when we are in war. The thing about that is that it just absolutely irritates me. If you listen to Netanyahu, he's telling us and the Republicans that, hey, Iran has already threatened assassination on your president. You should go after them. He's trying to already put a fuel on the fire. So it's already happening. That's what I was trying to clarify about that, because it's already happening as to the reason why. And that's the reason why Trump is going to say, well, hey, they're threatening us. And already on social media, the Republicans are already on board with it. They didn't like it at first, but all of a sudden, once the Republicans said, no, we don't want that, boy, they switched. As long as the Democrats don't want it, they're going to want it. And that's exactly what has happened.
So
at least online.
Did your card say accomplice? What did it say? What is it? It
partners in crime.
Accomplice. Wow. Oh, my God. Wow, that's very pertinent, isn't it? That is very pertinent. With my card here, look, we've got the 5 of Cups, which is never a great card. You want to see kind of coming up. It talks about a sense of betrayal, heartache. I think this is, I think this is how we're all feeling, how all sane and decent people are feeling right now about where things are going in the world. We just know that the Middle East is a powder keg, and we see this warmongering energy, this thirst just to, carry on. And actually, to read the last part of what Denise Ferguson shares, she said, Iran is the last of the 7 Middle East countries the US wanted to destabilize and rebuild to ensure US petroleum dollars stay strong. So there could be an element there. So, these guys just need to be taken out of power, isn't it? They just need to be gotten rid of. I don't know how it's going to happen, but they need to be gotten rid of, because there's not going to be any world left. Do you know what I mean? What's going to be left at this stage? Oh, all right. Oh, sorry, me having a little rant there. Are we ready for the next question?
No, I have something else to add to this. If you don't
go on, Lady G.
I just think back of Vietnam. They sent a ship over, and we got into Vietnam War because they lied and said the ship was fired on, and it wasn't.
So there's a precedent.
You know, the war, the what is it? The weapons of destruction never found.
Yeah. They lied on Saddam Hussein. Yeah, they weren't there. He did a lot of bad things, but it wasn't weapons. They weren't the weapons of mass destruction. And the chemical weapons were actually provided by the states, which he used against the Kurds. So, oh dear. You know, a lot of people make money out of war, you know. This is the sad thing. A lot of people make money on war. David, sorry.
Yeah, there's one of the things. As I think about my card, and Linda, I think it was in the comments, just mentioned something. She could see the gears grinding. I do wonder if the strength card is about coercion. When I looked at the bottom of the deck, I also saw the 4 of Wands, like "Welcome to the party" type of thing. I think there's a real, it also dovetails on what you were saying. It's like that one kid that tells his friend, "Oh, he flipped you off behind your back. Oh, he's talking smack about you. Why don't you go beat? You should go beat him up. He's running his mouth." And you know, you're trusting him because it's your friend. You got that bond, and you don't realize that they're manipulating you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure the State Department's pushing back on it, and I'm sure there's a huge debate in the White House. But the problem is, you're dealing with Trump.
Yeah. And he's very vulnerable to manipulation for all of his reptilian cunning and stuff like that. When he, you know, if we think of how he's been played by Putin and how he's been played by Netanyahu, who is the master of masters when it comes to manipulation, he just is. I've done readings on him. I've looked at Netanyahu's chart, and he's probably one of the most devious and cunning of them all. He's got plans within plans within plans, and really Duck Larange doesn't stand a chance. And also as well, there's just the obvious, the Trump Gaza video.
Yeah.
I think it just says it all. Do you remember? It just says it all. Like, even though people see it as a vulgar joke, but those are the kind of vulgarities that are real in Trump's mind, and you can take that as a statement of intent. And remember, Netanyahu was in that video on the Sun Lounger at the end. So, you know, oh gosh. All right, are we ready for the next question? Yeah. All right, let's dive in. So this is going to be a full card pull again. So we're on question number 6, and then we've got some 1 card pulls after this. People asking about Trump's like health, if his presidency is going to last. We're going to try and squeeze one of those in. So 2 people again here, similar question. So Nick Mink says, with warplanes and carriers heading to Middle East, will US troops go into Gaza and effectively take it over so that crusty Trump can get his Riviera? And then Barbara has asked, with all what is happening in the Middle East, will this cause World War III? So maybe actually we could do 1 full card pull, or we could split it up into 1 card pulls each. Yeah, shall we do that? Let's split it. All right, so the first one then, with warplanes and carriers heading to the Middle East, will US troops go into Gaza and effectively take it over so that Trump gets his Riviera? 1 card pull. Yeah. And then we'll do the next bit. And then 1 card pull. Oh, gosh, the world. Oh, sorry, you guys are ready already. Forgive me 1 minute. Sorry. I was making notes. Un momento, per favore. Okay, all right, here we are. After 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Interesting. All right. Well, what did you get, Sheila? You've taught it away. Go on. You go first this time. Oh, oh dear.
Okay, so I have to be honest with you. When you first read the whole thing, an overwhelming feeling, and I'm about to cry, but it's not because I'm sad. It's just that feelings that come through. That whatever if the United States joins Netanyahu, Gaza will not exist, and it's not because they're going to go take it over. It's because they will not be able to survive what's going to happen out there.
Wow.
They are going to this because they won't be able to survive. That was my first intention. That was my first thought when it happened. So that's the reason why when that card came up, I was like, oh no.
Wow. David, how do you interpret your card?
I interpret my card that this plan is going to go forward, whether it's U.S. troops on the ground or other troops on the ground. You know, the vision of like a bulldozer or a tank just running over the rubble and just grinding it into powder underneath it, because progress. We need to make progress. This place has been missing a casino and a Riviera for decades, and they're just the world leaders to carve up a new empire and build that next Dubai there or something like that.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, I have the Queen of Swords, but in this case, usually she's standing for truth and, strength. But in this one, it's quite miserable. It's like that sorrow with what's taking place. That is, I mean, you could see in her face exactly with this one.
The sadness. And that is echoed by my card. I mean, look, you don't need to be a tarot reader to interpret that one. Yeah, show this to people and they know exactly what this card means. Sorrow, anguish, sleepless nights. I think this is sleepless nights for the whole world, because we're all worried if this will escalate further. But of course, the Palestinian people themselves are not going to be getting any sleep if they're not all still living out in the open, because the place is so bombed and all of that stuff. But I think collectively, all the cards together, I wish we could be more positive on this one, but it's just not looking good for the Palestinians, is it? It's just not looking good. It's like the decision has already been made.
Exactly.
It's already been made. Wow. Okay, let's move on to the next one card pull. And let's hope our cards are more positive on this one. I hope so. But Barbara says, very simple question. What with what is happening in the Middle East, will this cause World War III? Yeah. And then we'll move on to some other questions after this. Oh, gosh. One card pull. What times we live in. What times? Extraordinary. But just so you know, folks, there is amazing stuff going on in the world as well. Let's have a look. Okay. World War III. Two wanted to come out. All right. After three. 1, 2, 3. Oh, gosh. All right. Let's go the other way this time. So let's do Lady G. How do you interpret your card?
Well, a lot of fighting, a lot of struggle, conversations, arguments, that type of thing ongoing.
Yeah. David, how do you interpret your card?
I got the Knight of Pentacles. It's not the fastest moving knight. It could be a card of mercenaries or offers. I think it's the vibe I was getting from this is not a World War III, but like a proxy wars, which is what's happening. And we're going to see more proxying. It wouldn't surprise me if the U.S. does airstrikes as a way to not have to declare war and have Trump have to go through Congress to get permission to do that. But they're helping. Like, Israel will help you. We'll send our Lancers with the bunker buster bomb so that we can destroy Iran's underground nuclear facilities and set them back, years, if not decades, in their research, because Israel doesn't have the capability to do it, but the U.S. does. back to that strength card, trying to coerce the U.S. to do this favor for them, and then there'll be a payoff with that Knight of Pentacles. You do this for us, and we'll let you pick the prime land to build your Trump hotel.
Gosh, and that would be the mercenary, isn't it? That would be the U.S. acting as a mercenary,
exactly,
on behalf of Israel. So that really does fit. Wow, Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
This is the reason why we're here.
Yeah.
They're not going to let up. There's too many egos at play. It's like who can piss the farthest, and that's exactly what we're in right now. And this is the ego thing. So if you're asking me, if we're going to go to World War III, if the egos don't let up, then yeah.
Wow, gosh. Profound, isn't it? These one card pulls, they really can take a very complex subject and be very succinct. Look, my card doesn't require much interpretation, does it? Heartache, betrayal, sadness. I agree in the sense with what David was saying in terms of like proxies. I think it will be proxies because for example, look what Ukraine has shown, what they can do in terms of modern warfare. It's all going to be about drones and positioning and speeches and money as well. I think is a big factor. That's where also as well that Knight of Pentacles can be talking about that, because they have plans for Gaza. They've already said you remember Trump was like the real estate. This is all on the front water. Yeah, we already know Jared Kushner has already gone in there. So nuclear war is so damaging. I know Iran have threatened Israel with it, but I think there's going to be a lot of proxy stuff because these nuclear weapons are so devastating. It almost just ends the whole world in a way. So I think proxies, but look, a lot of heartache. All right. Well, look.
In my part, I don't see a World War III. I see a lot of the smaller skirmishes and things continuing.
Yeah.
But not a full World War III.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Because there's still a lot of very positive stuff going on in the world, and the world in general is moving away. And I don't think there's going to be as much support for much more support for stuff. I think it could be the US and Israel almost out on their own a bit, almost out on a limb, and the rest of the world kind of moves on, but very messy stuff. All right. So last question. And this is one that you guys are probably looking forward to reading on. So we'll do a one card pull because we're almost at the top of the show. So Nick Mink says, and two people asked a similar question. Nick Mink says, the Simpsons have somehow managed to predict the US elections for years, and political outcomes. They've done a show with they've done a show with Trump leaving in August this year. What do the cards show? And someone else asked, finally, Judy says, hello, wisdom wizards. Will 45 end his presidency by the end of summer? So do you see? So they're both asking the same. So will the Simpsons be correct? Are they correct? Will Trump be ending his presidency by the end of the summer? Oh my God, don't we all wish that were true? But let's see what the cards bring.
Such an important question.
I do wonder if somebody on The Simpsons is a really good intuitive, either as a storyboarder or a writer, probably a storyboarder, because they're the ones that are going to put together the concept, because they have nailed way too much.
Way too many.
I agree. I've said that for a long time. There's a secret psychic on there.
Yeah.
Or some time travel.
That's their craft.
Uncanny. It's been uncanny, isn't it? All right. After 3, 1, 2, 3. Is Trump going by August? Are the Simpsons correct? Let's just finish on this note. All right. There. Ooh. All right. So, Sheila, how do you interpret abuse and neglect?
I'm not sure.
Do you need a bit of time?
Either this is the reason why he's gonna go, the abuse and the neglect and all of that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some help. Maybe some help with that. The abuse and the neglect. I mean, that's happening already. It's like the answer instead of the question.
His health.
Health.
The way he treats his body, the way he treats his environment.
Oh yeah, maybe it's the end of his body because of abuse. Ah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, abuse. I wasn't thinking of his health, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
David.
I agree with that. Felt good to say.
Yeah. And here we're back with the Knight of Pentacles. So Pentacles could be health, wealth, or values. It could be that his health is progressing. I don't typically go with that with this card. To me, this is an excuse. I have a business excuse to get out of the country. So, so I'm with the LIV golf tournament in Saudi Arabia, which happens to not have extradition laws to the U.S. I really need to go to attend a business over there. And wow, Saudi Arabia is the greatest country ever. Who knew? So I think I'm going to stay here for a while. Wow. But it could be a progression. It could be a health progression as well.
Yeah, something that's creeping along. Maybe not immediate, but creeping along. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, it could be that they are, looking deeper into things and they do get some clues. But I feel also this could be him being more and more isolated within himself. But I'm getting more around October.
Oh,
is that an instrument or is that what is that a pipe or an instrument that was on that card that the person's holding?
It's the hermit, isn't it?
Is it a sitar?
Okay. Yeah, the hermit.
Okay.
So that is the lantern light of the hermit, isn't it?
Oh, it's the lantern. Got it. Okay, because it was round. It looked like a sitar or something like that.
Especially with the stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, if we look here. The way I'm interpreting this now, look, maybe I'm a little bit more pessimistic about you guys. We know that Trump has kind of declining, deteriorating health. This is true. There's rumors about leg braces, catheters, and diapers, and all of this stuff. But we also need to remember too that he is, even though we don't want him to be, being the president of the United States, he has access to the best healthcare in the world. He genuinely does, guys. So we do need to remember that. Trump would have died several times were it not for his positioning. However, in terms of to answer the question, would he be gone by August? I doubt that. I mean, we're almost in July now. But what I'm seeing here is if he did leave early, it was because of some kind of financial offer. I think Trump has always given himself this little backup. Why else is he getting all of these hotel resorts and golfing resorts all around the world? It's the perfect alibi. So I think if he ever finds himself in this position, which he is in the polls, being the one begging, there is a wealthy benefactor behind the scenes. Saudi Arabia would be an obvious one. But if he does leave, it would be for money. Either to protect his money, because he is a billionaire now, a real one, not a fake one as he was before. But it's to do with money, finance, someone paying or bribing. That for me, that's the only context I can see that happening. Anything to add to that, folks, before we close the show? Anything else? Crypto.
He's got his own meme coin too, right?
Which is how foreign governments are also being able to fund him.
Exactly.
Because it's unregulated. The benefactors. Oh, of course. Yeah, crypto. That's why that if he does go, I think it's for money. He would do it because we know he's not popular and he doesn't like not being popular. Wow. All right. Well, folks, can you believe it? The time has gone in a flash. That was probably the quickest hour we've ever had on this show. We're 4 minutes over. I want to say a thank you to everyone who joined us. Over, was it 3,078 of you joined us live. Much appreciated. Thanks for supporting the show. We will call it quits there. David, we've so enjoyed having you on the show. We know Lena is back next week. But I'm sure we can figure something out. I think we have to have you back on. I hope you ladies as well, you agree. Can we just say a thank you to David for guesting for us?
Yes.
Loving your interpretations and your wisdom. So Lady G and Sheila, your little words for David before we close the show.
Well, thank you, David. It's nice to meet you. I don't think I've collaborated on screen with you, so this is a great treat for me. So thank you. And you did great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed your readings. I look into your channel quite often, and I really like the way you read. And I was so surprised to see that we were basically neighbors before.
Right. And thank you all for having me over here. I've had an absolute blast. I really do appreciate it.
It's been great fun. So we'll find a way to get you back. Don't worry. You know, we're going to find a way to get you back, and we can always do a bigger group or something like that, or, you know, when we're having specials coming up. But your skills and talents are much appreciated, and I think you've done a great job. So we will be ending it there, folks, and we will see you, of course, next week. Goodness knows what else the world has in store, but I'm glad we were able to give you a few little laughs along the way, especially on Kristi Noem with the, what is it, the Roman salute, busting her
her fake boob. What is it called? What are those little implants? Is it implant? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Hit it too hard, man.
Hit it too hard. She just went for it and busted it with a Rolex watch. Anyway, we will leave it there, folks. So bye for now, everyone, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye.
Good night.